After 5 films as a prisoner of Sony, Marvel finally rescued, sort of, Spider-Man from their semi-evil clutches, and now we get Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, so Spider-Man Homecoming, marking Spider-Man's return to the MC, well, his second appearance in the MCU. It's directed by John Watts with a screenplay by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. It's a superhero high school coming of age story, and we are going to review it. It is set in the MCU after the events of Civil War and before the events of Infinity War. So we sandwiched between two wars there. Our hero is Tom Holland as Peter Parker, the spectacular Spider-Man, and he presents a version of Peter Parker that has all of the responsibility without the weight of guilt angst that is very often associated with the character of Peter Parker. Does it work? Yes, it makes him significantly more upbeat than we're used to seeing him, which works. Our shadow character, our villain, Michael Keaton, plays Adrian Toomes, also known as the Vulture. He's one of the most relatable Marvel villains we've seen so far in the MCU. He's not without his sinister side, but he's also not without his understandable side. As a mentor, we get Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. He's sort of an absentee father figure who's more interested in handling Peter Parker than in actually teaching him or guiding him. He pushes a lot of that off on Happy Gilmore, who is it's not Happy Gilmore, it's Happy Hogan. Happy Hogan is back. Um, and even he seems to mostly not want to be bothered with Peter. For allies, we have Jacob Batalon. I'm just not sure how you pronounce it. He plays Ned, Peter's nerdy best buddy. We have Laura Harrier as Liz, Peter's crush. And we have Zendaya as Michelle Jones, who is mostly a comic relief character. And as other enemies, we have the Shocker. Bokeem Woodbine and another guy play two different versions of the Shocker throughout the course of the film. Bokeem Woodbine is very good in what is actually a relatively small role. The plot. Act one is a little bit of a slow starter as the film takes its time establishing the world of Peter Parker in his, I forget the name of the high school they use in this film, but it's based on the Bronx School of Science loosely. And they take he's got a large cast of characters who are, is the people he knows between Liz and Ned and the other people. And they take their time establishing these characters and the fact that this is a separate world from Spider-Man's world. Act two gets the story really going. It puts stress on the relationships that are set up in Act one, bringing a good amount of suspense into almost everything that Spider-Man gets into. Act 3 does not waste an ounce of the tension that is created in the previous 2 acts, and it concludes the story with a variety of things at stake. Everything is colliding into one massive showdown. Um, so in conclusion, the upside. The upside, there's a lot of upside. It's a fun movie. It has a very good cast. It's got some really good action, a funny script. It makes great use of the large cast to bring tension to the story because a lot of things and a lot of people are at stake in this film. There are some amazing homages to early Spider-Man stories, primarily comic book stories, and some more recent Spider-Man stories, mainly comic book stories. Um, Peter's schoolmates are a large, diverse cast, and Michael Keaton gives one of the best A-lister performances as a villain that we have seen in a Marvel film, in any superhero film. He is one of the best villains. Michael Keaton does not hold back as an actor playing Adrian Toomes. The downside. Now, there are a lot of downside points. Most of them are small, nitpicky things that don't really bother me that much, but there are a lot of them. So, Zendaya is way overbilled in this film. She is billed as essentially being the co-star of the film, and she is not. She's primarily a comic relief character who is there as the butt of or the punchline deliverer of several jokes, and that is it. You could pull her out of this film entirely and it wouldn't change the plot at all. No one would notice she's gone. Um, she is a really minor character. Now, Ned and Liz are severely underbilled in this film. They are genuine co-stars, and um, they really, really, really should have been promoted much more in the post-production tour of the film, the hype tour leading up to this. They are much more important characters of this film. And this film could not happen without either of those two characters in it. Um, Another downside, some of the early CGI in the film is really noticeably CGI. Mostly it's the very early stuff where Peter is playing around with his powers, etc., etc. Um, Peter's schoolmates are inspired by some of the classic characters from the comic book, but they're not really intentionally those characters. So Ned is inspired loosely by Ned Leeds. Now, Ned Leeds is a Caucasian kid, and Ned in this film, Jacob Batalon, is not, he's Hawaiian. And so the character isn't given the last name Leeds in the film, specifically so that they can either confirm or deny that he's Ned Leeds later. Liz is inspired by Liz Allen, who's a Caucasian character in the comic books. Liz in this film is not Caucasian, and she's never given the last name Allen, even though you're meant to understand that that's kind of who she is. Then Zendaya plays a character who is she's not Mary Jane Watson. She's not supposed to be Mary Jane Watson, and she isn't supposed to really invoke Mary Jane Watson. One wonders if they're going to bring Mary Jane Watson into the franchise at some later date because this is not her. She's an original character, but her name is Michelle Jones, and you can figure out the initials for yourself. Um, so, the final score. Well, the upside is a long list of things about this film that I really, really like. And the downside is a long list of very minor, nitpicky things that don't really detract from the film that much for me. So, in the end, this is a 4.5 star film. There's a lot they got right, and a couple of things that are not, they didn't get wrong, but they're questionable. And so, 4.5 stars for Spider Man Homecoming. I'm Ed Bo. Thanks for watching. And remember, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you really, really like this video, hit the subscribe button. And if you love this video, please, please, please share it with your friends. Peace.